Morning. This video is going to be an interesting one because this is something that I've followed for many years. It's basically we are revisiting the Essendon AFL doping scandal from the last few years. Now, it all starts in 2010, so 7 years ago. They hire an ex-player called James Hird to coach the side. He brings in his back team of coaches. We're not going to go into too much detail. A year later, the club hire a sports scientist called Stephen Dank. Now, this guy is really important. To start a supplements program, so give the players vitamins, change their diet, look at their training regime, things like that. Now, during this program, he's injected them with banned substances, and the players don't know this at this point. But then the club doctor, 3 months later in January of 2012, raises his concerns, saying there's something a bit amiss here. Certain players are looking a little, things aren't quite right. I'm noticing injection marks and things like that. Concerns were raised. By May, the club tell Stephen Dank to stop doing what he's doing, basically. So that this program, we're going to change the start of the program. You can stop injecting the players. We have a few concerns about what you're giving him. By September, he's fired. Now, there's a lot going on in 2012. A player basically whistleblows his concerns, and there's an internal review by the club in 2013. There's a lot happening in 2013 and 2014 to do with the anti-doping bodies of Australia and the World Anti-Doping Body getting involved. So for a 2 year period, there's a lot of hectic stuff. The team itself were crap on the field. Their performances collapsed. So they were basically gone from being one of the best teams in the league to horrifically bad. By the beginning of March 2 years ago, in March 2015, 34 players that had actually agreed to take the supplements, because not all the players in the squad agreed to be on this program. They were cleared of doping at that point. Other things happened in the preceding time, and then by the June, Stephen Dank is banned for life. They found that he's done a few naughty things. But then, within 6 months, the 34 players who were cleared have been given notices by the anti-doping people. They've given their evidence. Blah, blah, blah. They're now banned. Obviously, if you follow Aussie rules, you know what happened to Essendon. By the November of last year, Stephen Dank's ban for life is upheld. Basically, what happened? These players had to they basically could have faced a 2 year ban. They backdated it, so they basically missed a year, a whole season. The club itself were a bit stuffed for players because that's pretty much 2/3 of their playing squad are now not allowed to play. The thing is, only one of them has actually retired since then. Others are still playing and coaching. But basically, what it boils down to this guy called Stephen Dank. Now, he has appeared before in other scandals, and the reason why he got his ban was not just this case, but several cases. He was involved in the rugby league as well, with several clubs, including Cronulla, who had their own doping scandal roughly just before he was hired. They also, in the 2011 season, hired Stephen Dank. Now, the Cronulla one is a bit different because not as many players were involved. In the rugby league, he was also involved with Penrith and other clubs, and he was also involved with the Gold Coast AFL team as well. So he was around the late noughties, early last decade, beginning of this one. Stephen Dank got involved with doing sports science, and he was very controversial anyway. And I'm just going to dig up a few things. And he's an interesting character because when he was involved with Essendon, that's the big one because that's where a whole team was caught of doping. But key players in Cronulla were banned, but their bans were also backdated. They gave evidence. They gave evidence. There was a young player who was playing at Penrith when he was helping there. He was recovering from a shoulder injury. He had to have a double shoulder surgery, and he then moved to Canberra. He got a 5-year ban because he got caught transporting the banned substances across state lines. So Stephen Dank's a bit of an interesting one, but this is a bigger scandal because it involves 2 sports and 2 codes, and with what has happened over here with players abusing recreational drugs at different clubs and getting caught. Zach Cardaker and Ranky Chase being two prime examples in the rugby league world. There's obviously, there can't just be one team doing it. Can't be. Maybe not teams systematically, but this one team systematically, they hired this guy, and there were club failings that were also found. The club had failed on various bits, and a player brought it up, basically said, "I'm not happy about this," back in 2013, and then somehow along the line, the anti-doping authorities got involved. But it's when they got cleared initially, and then within 9 months with them banned. That's what gets me. Because the players weren't intentionally doping. This is the thing, the players weren't intentionally doping. They were being lied to by Stephen Dank. They were told it was all fine, it's okay, blah 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 blah. They were hung out to dry. And this is the same for the rugby league scandal that Stephen Dank was involved in. The players got hung out to dry. Yes, he was doping them with steroids and hormones and other drugs, performance enhancing supplements that weren't actually vitamins and helping with the diet. He was actually pumping them full of chemicals. And a ex rugby league player who had cancer before skin cancer. Some of these chemicals are carcinogens, cause cancer. He had recovered from melanoma. He had been very, very ill. He subsequently died after Stephen Dank was involved with Cronulla. He died very quickly. His cancer returned and it was untreatable, and he died very, very young. So, has his actions led to someone's death? Probably. This Stephen Dank guy, though, very interesting character, because he survived a drive-by shooting last year. Someone actually tried to kill him, because there are also worries that organised crime. Yes, we'll put that one out. Obviously have a lot of money involved in sport. So, someone did try and have him bumped off. Someone actually tried to kill this guy. So that's kind of worrying, because he's got his ban for life. He's never going to be involved in sport ever again. He claims it's a fit up and blah 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 blah. But the early stuff, he was hired in November 2011. Within 2 months, the club doctor is concerned that something is not right. Because the club doctor works with the players every single day for many years, knows about their little injuries, their routines when it comes to diet. If any of them are, like a bevy every so and then, we'll probably get to know their families as well. And he noticed things were different about players. He noticed injection marks when he was doing physio on them. He had his concerns, and he raised them. But it took a further 4 months for the club to go, "No, you got to stop, Mr. Dank. You can't." And then it took a further 4 months to fire him. So the club took too long to get him out. The internal review really realised failings. As time went on over the next 2 years, between 2013 and 2015, the anti-doping agencies were involved. They asked a lot of questions, and this was negatively, and the press got all this. And the AFL is the biggest league in Australia. Aussie rules football is the biggest sport in Australia. The press had a field day, as I seem to remember. But when they cleared the players in the March, and then the following January 2016, banned them. They backdated their bans, so it basically was a year bans there too. This affected their careers, and would clubs hire them again? Would other clubs take them on? One player's had to retire. One guy lost his a thing called a Brownlow medal, which basically means you are the best player for the year. You're the MVP. He had to hand that back. So yeah, and it's still this is still rumbling on, because they're still they've lost earnings, etc. etc. This is still rumbling on. The actual legal side of it's his ban's been upheld, but that was only end of last year. And with this timeline, this goes back 6 years. 6 years this scandal started. But in 2010, the new coach was hired, James Hird. He's actually received bans from this as well. His career's been ruined because he hired a new backroom staff. One of his assistants, Steve, I think his name's Steve Thompson, was referred by a friend, Stephen Dank. So they brought him in saying this guy's done marvellous things at the club we've worked at, but he's improved the player's performance. So we know that Stephen Dank, at some point in the previous 5, 10 years, whatever, has doped other players, and they've got away with it. And these 34 players being hung out to dry. But this Stephen Dank guy, he's a bit of a grubby character. He's got one player banned for 5 years for getting a very young, impressionable, injured player who was wanting to recover and get better at the game to carry his drugs for him. He's been banned by the authorities in Australia. Does that mean he can come over here? Unfortunately, yes. Would anyone want him over here? No. He's got a life ban. This scandal is actually still going on. It's been going on for 7 years now. Nearly 8. So yeah, watch this space. I thought I'd revisit it because it's been bugging me that this is still rumbling on. And I watched a lot of the last year's AFL season. I did not know that Stephen Dank survived a drive-by shooting last year. That's a new one. And that worries me that organised crime in Australia and the world have got something involved in it. Because I don't think an ex-player or an ex-coach is going to hire someone to bump off this guy. Because, yeah, bans happen for various things in sport. Injuries happen. Coaches get fired or that. But I find it highly surprising if an ex-coach or player that's been involved with Dank is had him bumped off. I think the organised criminals who've got bets on these sides and things like that have got some kind of financial involvement. I've had enough of this guy. He's obviously costing them money. They might have had a bet on Essendon doing really well, reaching the grand final, winning. They might have had a bet on Cronulla a couple of years ago, winning or losing. And for some reason, Cronulla Sharks won the title last year. So, yeah, coincidental. So this guy's not a nice guy. Some people have actually tried to kill him. He was actually injured in that attempt as well. So maybe it was just a message going, "We're on to you, fuck off." But it is worrying that the biggest sport in our country can be open to such abuse, and how one of the biggest clubs in that country can fail its players and its fans and its members so badly, like Essendon did. So there you go. That's the Essendon scandal in a nutshell. It's more complicated than that. There's a lot of information that I didn't take off the internet and off the articles that I've read and I've researched. I kept it quite simple, as you can see, not very long. My notes literally to fit into a very small thing, and it does worry me that a national sport. So I'm looking at football in this country, or rugby union or rugby league, can be corrupted in such a way. I've heard of match fixing scandals and individual players getting done for doping. That is another issue that is obviously a concern. I've heard of individual players, sportsmen, failing recreational drugs tests. I've heard of individual sportsmen getting off it driving, assault. Those little scandals, but when a whole team, a whole playing squad, a starting playing squad, because the AFL has a quite large squads. You don't play every single player every game, but with 34 players, that's like a whole rugby union roster for a season are doped, whether they agree to it or not, whether they know they are or not. But then when they're hung out to dry, even though they gave their evidence saying that we signed up, club said, look, we've got a new supplements program, we're going to get you fitter, healthier, they sign up for it, they get drugged. There's clear issues. This is going to rumble on because this Stephen Dank guy was involved with multiple teams. The ones we know about are Cronulla in the NRL, Essendon, the Gold Coast team, Penrith Panthers in the NRL. Other individual players were going to him as well. He's probably doped hundreds, if not thousands, of sportsmen and women in Australia and New Zealand, because he was operating in New Zealand as well. And only about, I would say, 50 of them were hung out to dry for this guy. None of the sportsmen were banned for life. One's got banned for 5 years, and I really forget his name, which is really annoying because I watched a video about him and an interview that he did. And the poor guy was really young. He just was injured all the time, and he had to have basically a neck replacement. Really, he had to have his shoulders rebuilt at the age of like 21, 22. He basically had to have his neck reconstructed, and he wanted to keep playing, and he wanted to get fit again. So he was referred to Stephen Dank, and this guy eventually got him nicks for. He got basically his ban because he was done for transporting narcotics. Unknowingly. So there you go. I'm going to leave that there. Please like and subscribe. Please leave comments. If you have any other sporting scandals, place in the comments below, and I will research them and I will discuss them. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll have another video again soon.